Hey, there you are. Bill Boshears, the Scizone tonight, WBQC. Telephone number 381-3838. We'll get to the heavy stuff in a minute. Glad you're here. It's been a whole week since you and I got to talk. For those of you joining us for the first time, this is the place where we discuss the news and views, and your telephone calls are what is important to the news and views. Most people just sit and talk back to the TV, and we thought it'd be interesting if I did it and allowed you to call and talk back, not necessarily to me, but to the people who write the news that don't really make the newspapers the way they should. I was asked to do, because of the news this week, you better hang on to your wallet. The government is about to rescue us again. I can't believe. I have for the past 10 years, I have talked about something called derivatives, and that they are not a good idea. As a matter of fact, they're a very bad idea. And that there was no oversight to them, and that there was no oversight to any of the hedge funds, but that seemed to be okay. Nobody seemed to pick up on it. Nobody worried about the dangers. And when the housing bubble, they started giving everybody loans when they didn't have jobs, or all they had to do was go in and lie. And the bankers and the rest of the people helped them lie. I said, don't do this, you're going to get in trouble because it's going to come due. And sure enough, it did. But as always, you and I are bailing out everybody. Tonight, I want to do that, take a look at that, and we've got Obama's website for you that will give you everything that he's thinking about in no nonsense. You'll know exactly. I'm going to give you mention it now, thanks to you, an alert. It says, hi, the email says, hi, Bill. Larry issued a call to Larry. This is Larry Nichols, who's been on the show a number of times. Call Congress alert starting Saturday to continue calling about this so-called Wall Street plan bailout until it is defeated. If you can please have Larry on your show, well, I couldn't get him, but we'll see what we can do. He is on the internet program that Wednesday, and he gave this out. And is the birth of a new country, the United States of Social America. And that's about where it's headed. The government is bailing out everyone, and they own everything. I'm sure he's talked to you about this. Yes, he has. And the deal is you call your congressman and senator and tell them to vote no against this, and if they don't, you'll campaign against them to see that they never hold office again. One of the interesting things about this is that when Larry and I talked about this, absolutely correct. This thing is going to get way out of hand real quick. When you bail people out of businesses, somebody winds up owning them. And the ownership in this case is going to revert to, I'm afraid, the Federal Reserve. Now, if you know anything about it, the Federal Reserve is a private corporation. It has nothing to do with the federal government. That's a ruse, that word federal. It is a Delaware corporation, as I'm informed, and it is owned by the banking families of Europe, and you wind up paying the bill. Something happened last week as a matter of fact. I told you last week about P-TEC. That's P-T-H-E-C. And if you don't know about it, you didn't go to the website, you didn't do it, you didn't look, you can see it. But isn't it strange that this week they passed a law, or are passing it, or in the process of it, to outlaw selling short? Remember what they did with United and this, that, and the other? United Airlines, American Airlines, Bear Stearns, and all the rest of these guys have gone belly up. people been short in the stock. But nobody can seem to remember who did it. And at least the Security Exchange Commission is supposed to know, but they're not talking about it. So that means you and I are going to foot the bill again. Here's the point. They passed, after talking about it and bringing it out, somehow somebody heard the show or something like that and said, why don't we just stop letting people short market? That would discourage it. By George, they did. An amazing process. Well, sometimes you have to do it. Well, here's an email from, TPS Sal 1, whoever that is. Tim. I'll just say Tim. It was so great to find you. I used to call on your show on WLW from here in New Hampshire. I spoke to you about loose change, I remember, which was about 911. I was driving my car tonight and was thinking about what happened to that guy, Bill Boshears. I did a Google search and found out about the Scizone, and I plan to watch the streaming of WBQC. Thank you. We hope you're there, Tim, tonight in Nashua, New Hampshire. Thank you. Hope you're joining us tonight. I don't have the who's online with me, but if you're there, I'm glad you found us. Glad to have you aboard. Tell your friends about us. And the telephone number is 513-381-3838. We'll do a break, come right back. I got more email and more information about things that didn't go bumping tonight. They're just going to hit your pocketbook. Back in the Scizone, Bill Boshears doing a little of the email and thanking you for taking the time to email me. This is from Tom. Mr. Boshears, your TV show is the most interesting show on TV. Well, thank you. I look forward all week to your show, and whom could I write to urge them to perhaps put a repeat on Saturday night show 1 or 2 times more a week? Before I answer the next part of this, you can go on the internet and watch it as many times as you want. He says, but I was shocked to hear you don't believe in God. Hold on right there. I don't believe in religions. I wouldn't give you a dime for all the religions you could stack up. But I do believe in a relationship to God and with God. I have a deep abiding belief in God. It's a very sustaining influence in a lot of people's life and mine, but it has nothing to do with religion. Religion is a scam, as far as I'm concerned. Most of them, or at least most of the ones that I've been acquainted with, and for me to participate in them, no. And you go on to mention Hal Lindsey and so on and so forth. I actually believe that Barack Obama is the Antichrist, and I think Bob Barr is going to, and McCain from Palin, blah, blah, blah. Bill, well, you did a great job. I appreciate your email. It's way too long for me to read here, but I will take time to go through it. And thank you for all your concern and your watching. We appreciate it. But that's just the nature of the beast. Next one. Bill, I have yet to hear anyone address the fact that Obama cannot have a security clearance. He allegedly, because his political career in the living room of William Ayers and other Weather Underground, Ayers is known as a terrorist, and as an associate of Mr. Ayers, Obama cannot, by law, have a security clearance. Therefore, he cannot lead the military and cannot have access to codes for the button. I assume he's talking about the atomic button or the nuclear button. He cannot have access to certain documents or information. How then can he be president? I don't know. I'm concerned to that point myself, although not with this specifically, but I am concerned about a lawsuit being filed now and was filed and served to Obama and his people, his party, I guess, whatever you want to call it. And I don't know if it's a 60-day clearance or a 30 days before they have to answer it. And you can go to Obama Crimes, I believe is the name of it, and take a look at the lawsuit and what it entails and who's to blame, so on and so forth. And I would suggest that all of you do that. Regardless of how you're going to vote, you need to be educated on some of these guys and some of the stuff they're doing. Please, these guys have a lot of skeletons in their closet, and thank God for the internet that people like you and everyone else that's out there looking at it can find it. And that came from, I believe, let me see who that came from. Well, JAP, JAP, I guess. JAP at FuseNet. JAP, thank you. Appreciate it. Next one. Dear Bill, we registered to receive a subscription digest. We posted a background. Professor likes your show very much. Oh, I remember this. And please ask any politician who are watching your show to accept. I like this. See, this is where this really begins to take effect. Here's I met the professor, Joseph, I'll just call him Joseph, and he watches the show, and he's and talked to his students apparently, and they're now watching, and they came up with this idea, which I really like. Ask any politicians who are watching your show to accept a 15% pay cut before raising our taxes. Thanks much. Sincerely, Joe. I'll just call you Joe. I think that's an excellent idea, don't you? I think that's just right out there in the front, in the forefront of good things we could be doing. And I'm always leery of politicians. First off, you may not know this, but politicians lie. And they are into it to save their own bacon. And a story for Pelosi and Kerry may share investors' pain as AIG stakes evaporate. We're going to take a look at that. Let's go to the phone. Mink is out there. Mink, how are you tonight, sir?
How you doing, Bill?
Glad to have you aboard. Thank you.
You as well. You look wonderful.
Well, thank you, sir. You're only saying that because it's true.
Well, of course. I can't lie.
You cannot. Go ahead.
Anyway, here's a little something, too. Palin, if your guest in your callers would like to speak on this, Palin got her husband's subpoena. They're working on quashing the subpoena, okay? They haven't achieved that yet, but they're not recognizing a subpoena from her, okay, Senate, or her state Senate and her state House.
Yes.
Now, that's interesting, and it leads, to me, is if you got nothing to hide, just get it over with, do a deposition, and put it out to the public.
Put it out. You know, Mink, the longer I watch this election and the people who are applying for my vote and yours, the less I like them. This woman, I thought Obama was pretty lax in a lot of information. I think he's lacking. I don't think he's qualified at all to do what he wants to do. And just because he wants me to believe him doesn't really inspire me. Most politicians, as I said prior, are liars to start with, or they wouldn't be politicians. The second is that Palin is equally on the minus side of information. Her idea of foreign policy is, yep, I guess they're there, I guess, something like that. Obama has never been to any place other than where he was a child between the ages of 6 and 10. And she has, I thought she was pretty bright. I really did, until I got to looking at some of her qualifying. Once you get into this, people are really, they're watching everything you do. And she come up a little short on some of the stuff that's out there on her.
I agree.
I don't really particularly like the way the press has jumped on Obama, or not Obama, but Palin's daughter. I don't like that. I think they should be more looking at their own lives. If you're worried about a 17-year-old girl, she's certainly not the first, won't be the last. And this guy named Levi, that's his name, a young guy who's a hockey player, is apparently the father-to-be. And if I were he, 17 years old doesn't qualify you, I'm sorry. And if I wouldn't get married, I just wouldn't get married. Well, anyway, I think we ought to take the children and leave the children out of politics.
Well, here's a good one for you, Bill.
Go ahead.
Okay. I think what we have to choose from right now, okay, and we only got 2 candidates, period. That's what we've got, because basically everybody else is out of the race. There are some independents, and we don't have much there. We had some people that had some qualifications, but only 2 people do we have in this race. And I'll tell you who the 2 people really are that are the most qualified out of this group, and that would be John McCain and Joe Biden. And that's the worst of the worst.
Well, here's the point on that. Interesting you would bring those up. It's just in here from the sources that I've got who are looking at this. On or about October the 5th, Biden will excuse himself from the ticket, citing health problems, and he will be replaced by Hillary.
I agree, and I thought that was coming.
And you and I have mentioned this.
Yes, we have.
And I've talked about it with several other people. I've already had a few shot blurbs about the health problems cited for those articles for a lot of reasons. And if that's the case, boy, that would make a hell of a plan.
Well, and it may have been in the mix all along.
I think it was.
We're not privy to that.
I really think that it was. I never expected. I'm sure Obama will run if they don't get his birth certificate live figured out. There's a whole bunch of stuff about him. His name is Terry Anderson. He's African American. He's a talk show host in California.
I've heard him.
And he's a great guy, he really is. And he did the other day a list of things that Obama has said that are not exactly true. For the first thing out of the bag, he said, "The Selma March got me born." Well, not exactly. Your parents felt safe enough to have you in 1961. Selma had not affected your birth, as Selma was done in 1965.
Yes, and he wasn't even...
He wasn't even a twinkle in anybody's eye.
He was... And for people to do... Jesse Jackson did the same thing. Jesse Jackson said he marched with Martin Luther King.
Uh-huh.
Jesse Jackson was in a march where Martin Luther King was.
Exactly.
That's the point, and a lot of people want to put this stuff out and then try to run on that as a basis, and it's no substance.
No substance at all. And that's what I'm finding, and Mink, I'm going to run here, but that's exactly the problem with the candidates. There's no substance. They're a mile wide and an inch deep.
Well, we used to call that bull something in the
bull spin. I called it bull spin.
That'll work.
You got it, Mink. Appreciate your call. Have a good one. Thank you.
Night.
We'll take a pause in the action and come right back with your telephone call, 513-381-3838. Join me. It's your show. Back in the Scizone, Bill Boshears with you till 12 o'clock tonight. Thank you all for watching on Blog TV on the front of WBQC.com. If you're outside the area, you can't see it. We're here every week. Wish you would join us. What do you think about that? On or about the 5th of October, Biden will excuse himself from the ticket, citing health problems, and he will be replaced by Hillary. This time to occur after the VP debate of 10-2. This is what's going to happen. All right, wonder what you think about that. We talked about that. John, you're on the air, sir. Go ahead. Hello, John.
Oh, yes. If you look in the under the Bilderbergers, you'll see that they had a meeting a couple weeks ago, an emergency meeting with Obama and Hillary. McCain was not invited.
Uh-oh.
Now, we can only imagine what they spoke about. And Biden,
I'll bet I can guess.
Well, me too. However, there is something else I'd like to bring to your attention.
Please do.
I not only watch your show, but I tape it, and I discuss it with people that I know. And believe me, it causes all kinds of fights.
Oh, I'll bet.
But that's okay. That's all right. It's a free country.
That's true.
But what I would like is I would very much like to know, as a group we talk about all these things, but there's no place for us to assemble to, become a mass so that we can, lobby or whatever, as
You
a
know
group.
what, John? You've hit on a very, very important topic, or percent of what I was thinking about. And you're not the first to bring this up. There have been hundreds of people who've said this to me.
I've said it several times.
And it has been just that. This has been a jumping off point. It's a place where people come and get it, or get information that they're not going to get in the mainstream media, and they are allowed to express their views on a topic. That's what this is about. This is not about me. It's not about you. This is about our country. I am a constitutional voter. I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican. I don't support any of the candidates that I have seen thus far or talked about tonight. Most of them are, as I said earlier, about a half-inch deep and a mile wide. Go ahead, sir.
Oh, anyway, yeah, you're right. You're very right.
So why don't you guys decide if that's what you want to do? Let me know. And if there's a place you guys want to meet or join or get together, I'll be happy to put it out here and tell people where they can come and meet, and I'll show up and we'll discuss things. How's that?
Oh, man, it'd be great if I could meet you.
Love to do it, John. I appreciate it, John. Thank you so much for the attention.
Thank you for your show. Thank you, sir.
Let's go to George. George, you're on the air, sir.
Hey, Bill.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. How you doing today?
Fantastic. Working on the rest of it.
I went into service in 1969, okay?
Good for you.
And I graduated from Quarter Tech, and I graduated with Dave Parker.
Okay.
He went to the Pittsburgh Pirates, and 92% of our class went into service.
All right.
Okay, I just retired here. I was in 69, 79, 89, and I spent 30 years in the military. And I was in Vietnam. I was in Panama.
George, what's your point? I got your history.
What I want to know is, what do you think about Steve Driehaus and Shabbat?
I don't know them that much. Shabbat I know about. He's done some things, and everybody's pointing a finger. I have been invited to those town hall meetings.
Right.
I have not been in them. I should have been, but because of scheduling, I couldn't be there.
Right.
But on the telephone, even I was in meetings. So I can't
Driehaus,
give you.
He was a state representative now, I guess, 3 terms, and he can't run no more.
Well, that's enough.
And he's running against Shabbat, and I've been to a few of those in Western Hills with Shabbat and Driehaus, and it seems like Driehaus has a lot better solutions to some of the
It
problems.
seems he may have. He may have, and I like that. Anyway, George, I appreciate your call, sir. I got to go to break. I'm out of here. See you in a bit. Take care. Thank you for being here, sir.
Yes, Bill.
You got it. Let's take that pause in the action. We'll be right back. Don't take your seatbelts off. You're still a part of this. 381-3838. Join me. Our trusty staff here at the Scizone has come up with, you know, a lot of people are beguiled by it, and critics are whining about this unwillingness to be clearly defined and what Obama said on his issues like taxes and what else? The economy, guns, rights, immigration, Iraq, and it did on and on. So we... Joe, who sent me this site, has cleared that up for us. And if Dangerous Dan, the television man, can put that up, you'll get a chance to see just how clear things really are in politics and just exactly, specifically, how it looks. You'll be able to see it, and that's the part that really helps. This is thepeoplescube.com. You'll be able to see it. You're not going to put that, you can't put that up on the screen. We can't put it up on the screen, but you can go to it and you'll see what I mean. It's a shocking sight. You will appreciate it. Let's go to Lee, who's been there the longest. Lee, you're on the air, sir. Go right ahead.
Yeah, Bill, how you doing tonight?
Doing well, sir. Glad to have you aboard.
I wanted to change the topic just for a second.
Go right ahead.
I have talked to a lot of people this week, and I'm 56 years old, and what happened last Sunday, I've never seen. Do you think that storm was man-made?
Yes, I do.
And I do too.
And ladies and gentlemen, what I'm talking about and what Lee is alluding to, I think is high-energy radio waves put out by HARP, focused on the Gulf. And they kept saying, oh, it's because the water is so warm in the Gulf. That's true. But you can't guide one the way they do. I believe, without a doubt, it was man-manipulated.
I stood out in it for about a half an hour, and I was watching the grinding motion in that, and the sun was actually out, and it was about 83, 84 degrees.
Yes, it was.
And there was no rain, and it's the weirdest thing I've ever seen.
I was in a parking lot off Fields Erdel Road. Some gentlemen and myself were watching it, and then I proceeded to drive across town, and the wind was buffeting the cars all over the place. I've never seen anything like it, and I'm always leery of storms like that and chemtrails. I try to avoid them, and if they don't kill us one way, they will another. But, you know, again, it's your government trying to save you.
Now there's one other question the guy said, what we were talking about. If somehow martial law was enacted, Bush would remain in office, right?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay.
And he could certainly cancel the election and go right on with business the way it is.
All right, well, we might be seeing the beginning of something.
Well, we see a lot of it. I don't know if you go back with me in history. A lot of times I look backward. But what has got me bum-fuzzled, last week I talked about P-TECH. And if you don't go look up P-TECH, this won't mean a thing to you. They got into the computer, sold a United and American stock when it hit 9/11. They sold them short. This week we pass a law after I bring it up, point it out, and point where the problem is, although nobody's willing to admit that P-TECH's got software operating behind the scenes in the government's computers, including the Security Exchange Commission. They did work for them, and if it's all spelled out. If you don't go see it, you are uneducated. It is one of the most frightening things I have ever seen in our economy. And it is where, and by the way, PTEC was Arab sponsored. They got their funding from Saudi Arabia, I should say. So the Saudis had something in it, and they still do. You don't, and by the way, the Security Exchange Commission saying, no, we can't give you the name of the people that sold it short. Why? Why in the hell can't they do that? This is ridiculous. You and I are now got to bail out AIG, and it's going to be sold to, you ready for this? The Federal Reserve will own it. Oh, yeah. At our expense, we get to buy it for them. Unbelievable. Lee, I appreciate your call,
Bill,
sir.
keep up the good work.
Thank you, sir.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Let's go to Don. You're on the air. Don, you're on the air.
Good evening, Bill.
Glad to have you aboard, sir.
Thank you, sir. Number one, that storm last weekend was theoretically, by nature standards, impossible. If people remember the charts, you had a cold front pushing on a warm front.
Yes.
That should have weakened it. It totally did the opposite. Okay? Two, you're about my age. It's probably safe to assume. Give or two,
I'm just
take a
barely 39.
I've been saying that too. Never in my history, as long as I've been alive, watching news, and have I seen a country handle out so much money in my life.
We don't have it. That's the whole
That's my point. Fort Knox has got to be empty.
It's empty. There's nothing in Fort Knox. It's just empty scam.
Yeah.
It's been scamming America for years. The whole thing comes back to us. AIG, if you ran a business and went belly up, they are so big, Donald Trump said, I'm just so big, they can't afford to let me go broke.
Right.
AIG, get used to it. Now, here's the trick. In the Great Depression, the only thing that survived the Depression the first time through was insurance companies.
Yep.
I've been telling people that for years. This is one of the top 13 insurance companies around. But everybody jumped on the bandwagon. Everybody wants to be bailed out. Now you're going to see, in the next 90 days, there'll be 30 airlines go out of business. It's going to strand at the time when this happens. They're all going to do it at once. It'll strand about 85,000 people around the world.
Yep.
Now, to that, General Motors is going to come and say, well, we have to retool to build this little bitty car that we want to get at 700 miles to a gallon. You want that car, don't you, Mr. President? And you've got president people running around going, I have this plan. Has nothing to do with anything. Nothing.
And why aren't they talking about immigration anymore either?
They don't. The border's wide open.
Exactly.
Why? Because we need the drugs and we need the people.
The tales I can tell you I've heard, and it's supposed to be true. Now, you give a little, take a little. The people coming from up southwest, they say it's horrendous.
It is. I've got people living right now. He's watching right now. Paul can call and tell you horror story after horror story all over it. I got to run. I'm up against a break.
Take care, Bill. Have a good evening.
Appreciate it, sir. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Let's take that pause in the action. Is that right, Dr. Good? That's right. We'll be right back. 381-3838. Jump in. There's a line open. Get in. People talking about this $1 trillion that is supposed to happen this next week, and they're going to bail all this out. Where are you going to get it? It's going to be a big question. Let's go to Mike. When we come back, we'll get to the telephone here. We'll get to your calls, and we'll give you a picture of what it looks like. Let's go to Mike, been there the longest. Mike, thank you for standing by, sir.
Hey, Bill. Hey, this is the first time I've ever called into a show, but I love yours.
Well, thank you.
This is regarding about the third caller you had. He said that people are to start getting together.
Yes.
I would like to just let everybody know that any VFW or any American Legion Hall would be a really good place for people to start getting together. It's like-minded people, and I'll meet anybody anywhere and talk to them about this stuff.
Well, I'll tell you what, let's get a consensus of people, and if enough people ask for it, we'll do a thing on the air. See, I like the idea of meeting online and doing a show online for you and have you guys participate in that.
Okay.
We can do that. Nobody has to drive, burn up gas. Everybody's there. Everybody's got a video. Everybody sees what's going on, and they hear everything. I appreciate it, Mike. Thanks a bunch.
Okay, thank you.
Gotcha. Let's go to Annette. Annette, thank you for joining us.
Hi.
Hi.
How are you today?
Phenomenally well under the circumstances.
Hi, how are you doing? I have 2 questions for you.
Okay.
Okay, one question I wanted to ask was, it seems like everybody is seeing plots and everything, and you just said that you believe in the Almighty, so why couldn't that storm just been by the Almighty?
That's a great explanation. I think it's great, but I happen to know the technology's out there to control it and has been done before, and I think the government is, with the help, they want this country to be a third world country. Our labor forces are, we don't have jobs, we don't have anything to compare it to, but that's a part of it. But I appreciate your call, dear. Thank you.
All right.
But could it be the Almighty? Of course it could. They take what the Almighty does and then do the rest of it. Ricky, you're on the air.
Yes, my name is Ricky. I'm from Fairmount.
Okay.
I got a question that most people ought to be concerned about.
Okay.
If we're doing all this outsourcing, but the companies here that's outsourcing, that's doing the outsourcing, getting the benefits, why is it that they're outsourcing to companies and countries over in China that's sending back bad material that we got to write off? Why is it all their product coming back with lead and just recently tainted baby formula?
Yeah,
I think some of these figureheads need to redo their thinking as far as what needs to be done.
It's called NAFTA and GATT, and I would suspend it in a heartbeat, sir, if I were president. I appreciate your call, brother. Thank you. It needs to be suspended. Let me give you an idea of this $1 trillion that's coming up, and the number is 381-3838. We got lines open. Jump in. So a lady, her name is Michelle Valdez, and she's a tutor at El Centro College in Dallas. And she says, it's just a bunch of numbers to me. If she would crunch the numbers, she would find that if she spent $1 per second, it would take her more than 31,000 years to get rid of the money. If the dollars were lined up end to end, they would reach from Dallas to the sun and then stretch for another 40 billion. I don't even know what $1 trillion looks like, says a paralegal, Joyce Childers, echoing most people's first reaction to it. She could have imagined, if she could have imagined a new $1 billion plus Dallas Cowboys stadium and then multiply that by 1,000. By 1,000 stadiums. Jeez. Or she could even picture everyone drew and every one person in the U.S. would get a 50-inch high-definition television for about $3,000. The total population of about 300 million people. Everybody would have a television, 300 million. Even an economist, Ray Perryman, president of Perryman Corporate, said $1 trillion is difficult to fathom. I spend all day thinking about $1 trillion and this and that, and go home and worry how much hot water heater is going to cost, it's kind of befuddling world that we live in. Yes, it is. And to think that there are people that want to enslave you and your children into the next millennium. We'll do a break, come right back. We'll take your calls. We'll get to Matt and Al and Mike and you right after this. Special thanks to all the people in the Hunt Club for all of your assistance this week and all the stuff. And a special thanks goes out to Miss Daisy. I call her Miss Daisy. That's not her name, but everybody who knows Miss Daisy knows what she does, and she is a godsend. Back to Matt, Al, and let's go to Mike's been there the longest. Mike, you're there, sir. Thank you.
First, let me say real quick, I started watching your program for the first time at 12:15. You got a fan for life, bro.
Thank you. Glad to have you aboard. Don't be late next week.
I won't.
We'll have the dancing girls over here somewhere. I don't know where.
I knew I missed the first 50.
See, that's when you do that, you miss. I'm sorry.
Let me ask you a question. I don't know what the subject is, but I need to ask you. I'd like your opinion on the New World Order.
It is a very viable thing. I think it's often scoffed at, laughed at. But George Bush knew what he was doing. I think the New World Order is really in the combination of having the North America Union precede it, like Europe did, and George Bush lied, flat out lied.
Oh, yeah.
And they say, oh, there's nothing to it. Why in the hell are they building that Trans-Texas Highway?
It's the thing that amazes me is, and I'm hoping that at some point America will actually obtain the testicular fortitude to go, you know something, here's the line, we're done.
I think we're coming to that. I think America is fed up, and they're mad as hell about it, and they're not going to take it anymore.
Amen.
This may be the real deal right here.
Oh, yeah.
I appreciate your call tonight, Mike. Thank you. Don't be late next week. The girls.
I promise, brother.
You got it.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Let's go to Al. Al, you're there, sir. Go ahead.
Hey, how you doing? You know, it's the first time I've been on your show, listened to on your show.
Don't let it be the last.
I'm sorry?
Don't let it be the last.
Oh, I know, but, it's interesting, the conversation that you're having in regards to, like, the New World Order and everything. It's like a lot of these political games that the higher-ups, I'll call them the blue bloods, so to speak, they know who they are.
The pantsuits and
man, it's just outrageous.
Yeah.
And, the manipulation of the weather, they've been doing that since, like the 30s, Westinghouse and Tesla.
Nobody wants to talk about that.
They can't talk about it because there's so many different political people that are in place that will actually come out and get them.
That's
it's like guys like me. It's like I'm fearful of what's going on.
Some night I'm going to do a show on the Hieronymus machine.
Oh yeah. Oh man.
And I didn't build it. A friend of mine built it for me. Mm-hmm. It is a very, very interesting weapon.
Well, that's just not to mention that all these different vacated buildings and everything, that they're preparing for this martial law so they can go ahead and more or less imprison the citizens who's going to revolt.
By the way, I mentioned it earlier. I still think people are mad as hell. I don't think this is going to go away. And the internet is where it's at. Thank God for the internet. It has kept the news alive that people like you and I want. I appreciate it, Al. I got to run, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's
go to Matt quickly. Matt, you're it. Go ahead. Hello, Matt Watts. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
How you doing, man?
Doing well, sir.
Okay, I'm a first-time viewer, and I was just wondering, why do you think the government would, target Cincinnati in a windstorm? Cincinnati
I don't think they targeted Cincinnati. I think it was once they got the damn thing started and it got up. I don't think they had to do anything else. It just naturally followed a natural course. But I do think they did hit it with that out over the Atlantic out there. I think they did. Jody, you're on the air.
Is this me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was just wondering, you know, all the chaos that we're having for the last few months, and Bush is going to be leaving office, thank God, soon. And you hear about Pakistan and all the crap that's going on over there. What if he starts us into another war?
Oh, he'd love to start another one.
Just to
Petraeus
leave
is
a big
already
mess for the next president.
Yeah, the next president can't handle it because the next president is like, duh, I mean, what do you want me to do? You know, they don't know.
Well, I mean, like his daddy left so much of a deficit for Clinton to try to fill, and now he's leaving God knows what for the next person.
There's no telling. There's no way in hell we'll ever know.
I just think he does want to start another war just to make it...
Just to keep the money flowing into the military-industrial complex.
Halliburton, and all that other garbage. I mean, he's got his hand in everything.
Everything, and is a part of it. He and Dick Cheney.
Yeah.
I appreciate your call, Joe. Thank you, sir.
All right.
I'm Bill Boshears. This is the Scizone. Every week we're here. It's a meeting place for people of like minds. This week on Bill Boshears' One Word Blog TV, I'm going to do a show later this week, and I'm going to look at... one of the things I wanted to do was Loose Change. The Loose Change documentary, we don't have time to do it here, and we couldn't do it here anyway, but we can do it on the internet, and I'll share it with you if you'd like to see it this week. Probably sometime around maybe Tuesday or Wednesday night, if possible. Anyway, we'll see you here next week right here, 11 o'clock, Saturday night. Tell your friends. And the one gentleman, thank you for taping it. Thank you for all your comments. Be good. See you next week. Stay safe.